Indie wrestling, Southern California pro wrestling means the world to me. Because if it wasn't for that independent wrestling, I wouldn't get these opportunities, you know? And when opportunity knocks, you gotta answer that door. Doesn't matter what it is, any company, East Coast, West Coast, Southern California, pro wrestling is probably the absolute best in the world. You can't compare it to anybody. So many stars have come out of here, and the matches have just been unforgettable. Drake Younger. I had heard about Drake Younger when he moved here from the East Coast, and the very first time that I met him, he walked into the room and he's like, "Oh shit, it's Lil Cholo. Man, you were on CZW Best of the Best 2003, man." And he's just going off, and I'm just like, who is this dude, you know? And it just made me feel like somebody actually recognized my work, you know? When he moved here, it was definitely a blessing. A blessing for him, and it was a blessing for Southern California pro wrestling, because there was nobody else like him, you know? And after he told me that, it was just, you know, it's something that I'll never forget. And after that, I definitely wanted to work with him. I recognize his work as he's an international superstar, you know, wrestling all over the United States and Japan and Europe. And getting the opportunity to go head to head with him was definitely dope. The match took place at AWS here in Southgate, California. It was actually a special time challenge match, which basically the match was going to last 10 minutes, and that was all the match time that they gave us, you know. And at the end of those 10 minutes, there was no winner. So what did they do? They went to the crowd, you know, because the crowd is the one that has the power. And they asked if they should give us another 5 minutes, and they agreed. So we went another 5 minutes. 5 more minutes! 5 more minutes! At the end of those 5 minutes, there was still no winner. So what do? They gave us an extra 5 minutes. And then, at the end of those 5 minutes, there was still no winner. But it's one of those matches that I'll never forget, because he pushed me to another limit that I never reached before. And Drake, if you're listening to this, thank you. Thank you for pushing me to that other limit, because, you know, up until that time, nobody else had pushed me there. And you got me there. And I'm forever grateful for that.
Cholo! Thank you for a hell of a fight that you just gave me in both of our last matches of 2013. Thank you so much, man. Cholo! Cholo! You're a legend in SoCal. I remember seeing you on Best of the Best 3 CZW back in the day. I thought, man, I would love to tear it up with this dude someday. Here we are 10 years later. I came to your stomping grounds, and I had the absolute honor and privilege of tearing the house down with you. So you people here in SoCal, you gotta be grateful that you got a man like this to represent you all over the world. When people see this man, people think of Southern California professional wrestling.
You know, my grandfather was the only one that really supported me. Aunts, uncles, cousins, or whatever, they didn't really care about what I did or any of the dreams that I had. And basically, he was the only one that kept telling me, you know what, if you like it, this is what you like doing, just keep on doing it, you know. And he would actually, at his age, you know, 85, 86, 87 years old, he would go out, make time out of his day, which, you know, for him, not being able to walk that well, he always said that he wanted to go watch me wrestle. And he did. He would go to my shows. Not very often, but when he could, I make it a point to, you know, sit him in the front row and have him watch the shows and stuff like that. And it felt really cool. It felt really cool to have, you know, a support system. And he kept telling me, you know, one day you're gonna make it. One day I hope that you that you fulfill your dreams of making it on TV and stuff like that. And he actually passed away before I was actually able to make it on national television, but I'm pretty sure he saw me from wherever he is.
If you've never been here, this show has everything. Sex, violence, that's about it, really. What more do you need?
Lucha Vavoom is something special, especially around here in Southern California. It's an LA-based Lucha Libre company. And the very first time that I had heard about it was actually through my trainer, Martin Marin. He told me about the concept that, was being worked on, and he was going to introduce me to these ladies that were eventually going to go on to run it.
Lucha Vavoom takes the best of Lucha Libre and keeps it popping by putting different kinds of acts in between the matches.
Top-notch burlesque dancing, including acrobatic, aerialists, and other specialty performers.
I was a part of the very first show of Lucha Vavoom at the Mayan Theater in downtown Los Angeles. I'll never forget that. Over 2,000 people. You never forget a crowd like that. And they were so hot from beginning to end. And it wasn't your average wrestling crowd. It was, that crowd is 21 and over. So there was no kids or whatever. But their energy was just on a different level. And it always is. Every single time that Lucha Vavoom runs, their energy is on a different level. Because, their shows run very different themes throughout the year. Valentine's Day themes, Cinco de Mayo, which is one of the biggest shows that they have, and Halloween, of course. And every time that there's a Lucha Vavoom show, it definitely brings it up to another level.
And he is such a great Rudo. He is so antagonizing towards the audience. We don't usually let wrestlers get on the mic, because to me, like, luchadors they say everything in the ring. Like, they don't need to get on the mic and say more stuff. But he's hilarious. Like, he gets on and starts insulting people and getting them riled up. And that's such a huge part of entertainment, is getting booed at as much as, getting cheered on. So he really brings that.
It's going to be in the National Book of World Records. This is going to go down for the biggest room of idiots.
You put Lucha Libre and then you put the burlesque in there, and you mix that together, and it's like a show like nowhere else. Like you can't compare it to anything. They involved lowriders, they involved just a lot of the Hispanic culture, and my persona, or my character, fit in really well because it's something that everybody can relate to, especially in downtown LA.
Lil Cholo got on the mic and started insulting the audience to the point where Vida and I were like, oh, is this cool? But then we decided, yeah, it's cool. People love to hate him.
I think it was really cool because, Lil Cholo and Lucha Vavoom together is like a perfect combination. Around here in Southern California, there was already a buzz going on about a company that was going to be a part of some type of national television channel with that exposure. Word was going around that they were looking for talent from around here and from all around the United States. And one day I got a MySpace message from Kevin Kleinrock, and he said that he wanted to talk to me about something. And I was like, all right, cool. Talked to him on the phone, and he approached me and he basically said, you know what, I wanted you to be a part of this project that we're doing. And I was like, well, what is it? He's like, this is the show that's going to be on national television. And I was like, that sounds pretty cool. And so that was when I heard officially it was going to be called Wrestling Society X.
And at the time, I had no intention at the beginning of necessarily ever doing anything like big in wrestling again. I figured that XPW was the last kind of big thing that I would do. If there's ever an opportunity for us to pitch wrestling at MTV, I've got this idea. And so I told him what the idea was, and we literally took XPW footage and Warped Tour concert footage, and we made this kind of pitch reel based on what we saw the premise being. And we went in and we pitched, and they picked it up for a pilot right away. On the show, I I did kind of everything on the show. I wrote it, produced it. We had other producers and some other writers as well. But for the most part, it was, just the opportunity of a lifetime to have a network put $3.5 million behind my idea for this wrestling league. And it didn't quite go the way we envisioned it, both in terms of what was on screen, because we had to kind of, go by what MTV wanted as well. But certainly I would do it all over again in a heartbeat, because there was, it was a really great learning experience, really great opportunity. And who gets that opportunity to try to put their vision on screen with somebody else's money? So,
when I finally talked to Kevin and he told me what the whole thing was going to be called, and it being on national television, the first thing I can remember was my grandfather. Knowing that I was finally going to be on national television, and I just had that feeling that I finally made it. And basically, any opportunity or anything they were going to throw at me, I wasn't going to let it get in my way of succeeding. And that was basically it. I just remember preparing for it as much as I could. I knew there was going to be a lot of talent from the United States or whatever, and from around the world. And I had to step my game up. And I was just getting ready. I just got ready. I trained extra hard. And finally, that week of filming, it got pretty nerve-wracking. I was really, really nervous. I didn't know who we were going to get put up against. I didn't know what type of storyline we were going to get put in. But when we got close to it, they told me it was going to be myself, B-Boy under a mask, El Mongol, and El Jefe in a group called The Cartel.
Cholo is just really getting a really good name for himself around the Southern California scene. I think he started to really become more of one of the kind of top names in that period between the end of XPW and the beginning of Wrestling Society X. So I think that's about the time that Cholo was really starting to come into his own, around the scene. And I always thought of Cholo as one of those guys that, looks can be deceiving, because you look at him and you look at the gimmick and you don't necessarily think this guy's going to be a great worker. But then you see him wrestle, and he is. And not that he's the most high-flying guy or the most technical guy, but the guy can do it all. And he doesn't have bad matches. And so we needed guys like that for Wrestling Society X. And, his gimmick fit in great with this team that I wanted to put together. And I just thought that Cholo was going to be perfect for that role. I knew that I wanted to work Aaron Aguilera's dad in with them, because he just had such a great look. And I always wanted to kind of work with him. And it worked out really well. And, we definitely had plans to keep them as a tag team. There was going to be, the season 2 plan was that we were going to bring in an international team that was going to be Nigel McGuinness and Fergal Devitt. And they were going to also get involved in this kind of turf war between the Japanese gangsters and the Mexican gangsters. And they were going to be these European international kind of gangsters. And we're going to see what kind of mischief was going on behind the scenes. Were they running drugs? Were they running diamond? What was going on there? And unfortunately, we never got to that.
Basically, after Wrestling Society X finished, it was kind of disappointing, but at the same time, it was pretty cool, because it opened up a lot of opportunities for me. After wrestling and Wrestling Society X, I was able to go out and venture out in the United States and wrestle in other places that I didn't get to wrestle before. But fast forward sometime later, being on national television and getting my name out there as much as possible kind of helped me get this opportunity. And one day, a producer called me, basically said that there's just another project that's going on, and if we would like to be a part of it. And I was like, what is this? And it was basically called Lucha Underground.